Good morning, everyone, and it is morning. It's 10:28 now. He is Jonathan Kinchin. Welcome back to the show, and I'm Andy Serling. Nice to see you. How's everything? I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't been here in forever.
I know.
Oh, I was here, but you weren't here.
I was not here. Well, that may have been one of the reasons you were here.
Yeah,
It could have been non-mutually exclusive. Anyway, we've got 10 to talk about, and not that much time to talk about them, so we'll get right to work. Head over to Naira Bets. You know the drill. Bonus 200 is the promo. NairaBets.com will match the $200 of your initial deposit. We have a $5,000 hit and split, as we often do in the late pick 5. You want to opt in for that as well. The $15 bonus if you bet 75 or more at Churchill and Gulfstream. When does the championship meet officially commence? Do you know?
I think the entry. I think I saw someone tweet about the entries.
Oh, the entries for the championship meet?
Next week.
Yeah, it's always important because, you know, you really notice that sea change when you go from the non-championship meet to the championship meet. I miss Gulfstream Park West.
Yeah.
Well, it was good for them because it took it away from Gulfstream.
Yeah.
The turf course is a little bit of a chance, and you know it's hard to tell people the racing is what it is on one day, and the next day is the championship meet. The reality is they're sort of in a situation that we have in Saratoga, where obviously the numbers are good, but as you know, being there, Saratoga's the August place to be. It's no matter when we run, where we run, it's always going to get the best crowds in August. They're always going to get the best crowds from the beginning of January until the middle of March because that was the Gulfstream meet we all knew and loved a long, long time ago. And let me tell you, in your horse playing life, one of the biggest misses is that you came along after the old Gulfstream because you would have loved wintering down there.
No, I can only imagine.
A lot of fun. Anyway, we also have a 10% bonus at Del Mar. They are racing today. I think they canceled yesterday. They're going to run Monday, I believe, is the deal. And we feel for them. We do. But next summer, when it's pouring in Saratoga and one of you clowns decides to put up a picture of a sunny day at Del Mar, then you're going to regret it. I'm just consider yourself warned. Otherwise, my sympathies lay with the weather situation. And last but not least, 11:30 to 4:30, all the action here and Tampa Bay as well. Jonathan will be on early. I will be on late. Race number 1. I got to tell you, I realize it's only a 4-horse field, but you look at Bank Frenzy and Doc Sullivan hooking up. These are two really cool horses, and I think, like a lot of people, we feel like 7 furlongs might be to the advantage of Doc Sullivan. Will Joel use his speed a little more? However you cut it, these are two really nice horses.
I agree. I mean, this is a pace play for me. In a different circumstance, a couple more pace horses, I'd have no problem taking a horse like Bank Frenzy. I think they're kind of hard to separate. It just feels like Doc Sullivan has some past races that the pace figures are faster. There's not a lot of ones in here that suggest that Doc Sullivan's going to be on the lead, or I mean, he could be on the lead in here. He doesn't have to go out there and go,
I agree,
super fast, but he's just going to be closer, more naturally than Bank Frenzy.
And I also think in the Morrissey, where Bank Frenzy obviously got drowned by Doc Sullivan, Bank Frenzy was down the inside, which might have not have been the best place to be that day. And he's not. I don't really worry about him on a wet track. I just think the way that race played out and where he was in the racetrack hindered him from running his best race. I don't think that kind of separation is to be expected today.
Yeah, I think so too. And then the last race is a little tricky with Bank Frenzy. I think at first glance, I wanted to look at him as being the horse that could be the pace horse. But the times he's close, the pace is not fast.
Right.
And I think it just could be a little bit misleading.
Well, I think Dr. Crafton is going to probably go. And the interesting thing about Dr. Kraft was, it turns out he's better going longer. It turns out he's a better 9 furlong type horse. But you could also make the argument that maybe he's improved a little bit since he's been claimed by OK, and maybe he can run a decent race. I just have trouble making him beat these horses.
Yeah, the one thing that when I even thought for a second and a half about putting him higher than third was Flavian, right? You know, in situations like this, when you need an aggressive ride, Flavian usually delivers that. But I still just felt like the other two are just too good.
Flavian got Ori to break her maiden going a mile and a 16th yesterday. Just give him the Eclipse. To me, that Eclipse is, he could have swept the entire Breeders' Cup card. It might not be as big an accomplishment as the win by Ori in yesterday's last race. Race number 2, I struggled a lot with this race, and it's evidenced by my pick. I was going in a very different direction. We'll take a look at Amundsen and Laughing Boy running 2nd and 4th last time out. I have real reservations about both of them, but I do not disagree. They might be the 2 horses to beat.
Yeah, this is one of those races that you often see that in the last 2 or 3 starts, they've all run a race good enough to win. Not all of them, but a majority of them. And it makes it a little bit trickier. I ended up landing on Laughing Boy. I know we both look at Timeform US, the pace projector, and it's not often. They do this new thing now where they're putting this little flag on the horse that has the best kind of like late pace numbers. You don't often see those horses as forward as you see Laughing Boy in here. So I just feel like the setup for this race, Laughing Boy being close enough to the pace and then having the ability to finish. I thought his last race was pretty good. I didn't love the race 2 back, but you could be forgiven. His other races since this summer have all been pretty good.
My problem with him is David Jacobson, Linda Rice, Wayne Potts, and now Mike Maselli, and all trainers, respect, but this horse has been through the mill. I mean, and I am loath to take horses that Jacobson had. I think they're very hard to win with going forward, off the claim, even further, and for that reason, I can't really take him. And as far as Amundsen, he can certainly win this race, but I kind of wonder if his form has declined a little bit, but obviously he's still running fairly well. Another horse that's going to take money, in fact, is the second choice in the line, is Divine Leader. We'll take a look at his race back in June. It was a sloppy sealed track, but I don't know. I'd be interested to know. I'd like to see a general stat. Horses that are off for 4 months or more after they were claimed. You know, unless it's a turf horse claim now that somebody wants to wait until the spring for. I just hate these horses that are claimed and laid up for a while.
Especially because if you claim them in June,
yeah,
you think that the thought is, oh, I'm going to run this horse at Saratoga. And then they entered once at Saratoga in July in scratch. I don't know what the reason was for the scratch, but I would definitely look at that as a negative.
This horse was also with Scooter Davis and the infamous JKX Racing. There's just a lot of intangibles with this horse that I don't trust him at all, but obviously he can win this race, and a lot of these horses can win. As far as Principe, what do you think it is? Principe?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Principe. Obviously, before this horse was claimed, this horse had form that makes him a contender. He fell apart with Mercton, with Matt at Churchill. Why even ship this horse here? You know what I mean? Why ship him? They got lower level claiming races at Oaklawn. I don't know. I just thought it was odd they shipped him here. And if he can ever get back to some of his better races, he could win. He'll be a price. I didn't want to bet anybody else. I'm taking a shot that maybe he gets back to life with Ilkay coming to New York. It's a total shot because his prior form is good enough to give him a chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where, like,
awful.
You know, it's funny. In a pick 5 or a multi-race wager, I wouldn't need this horse at all. But
right, he's not a great pick 5 type horse to waste a lot of money on.
It is a 12-to-1 shot. You're gonna get paid if your hope is right that he could find that previous form.
Right, I'm going to make a small win bet on him. It's exactly how I look. I would not waste a lot of money to pick 5. It's not that easy, to be honest with you, as we move on to race number 3, and we'll take a look at Liberty's Romance running second in his slop at Finger Lakes, and as we move to race 3. Eddie, I know you're a little slow today, Eddie. Everything okay? Did you get enough sleep? Out karaoke last night? I have no disagreement with you. This horse is way the horse to beat.
Yeah, I just felt like, you know, I wanted to try to beat the horse in fairness. I think getting back to the sprint probably helps. The horse ran well enough last time, going a little bit longer. You get that little cutback edge. They'll be finishing while the rest of them aren't. To me, the rest of these are just a little bit of a guess, too, with these first-time starters, and no one has great numbers. There's no, you know, I mean, the one's got great pedigree, but, you know, Ratio's only 8% with first-time starters in the dirt in the last 5 years. He's drawn on the inside. There's just not a lot to lean on. So I just went ahead and went with the horse with experience who's got numbers that are good enough to win this.
Yeah, I know. I picked the horse second. I am not against that horse at all. But I don't know. The one has a lot of pedigree, Fabian's Princess. I mean, this horse after Castle Chaos, after Palace Boss. These are runners. And Gets Flavian, obviously, is going to hurt your price, but I thought that was interesting. So I took a small shot against the 7 with the 1, based completely really on the pedigree in here. And I also would want to use the 9 for John Ortiz. It just seems like he has nothing but runners, though this one doesn't have a lot of pedigree.
Yeah, I felt like that one was one. I was deciding between the 8 and the 9 who I was going to use in that 4th spot. And Jeremiah's numbers just were the ones that put me over the edge. 20% was state-bred dirt first-time starters. That was the only separator for me there.
You've got tactically the Tacitus. You know, Tacitus, by the way, is 5 for 38 with his dirt sprinters. It's not like Tacitus horses haven't won some races.
This was just kind of a little bit of a pedigree price play, right? The dam won first out wire to wire on the dirt. There was a sibling that trust fund that was okay. It's just hopefully the horse can run a little bit. 10-1, pay to get to find
I agree.
out.
The horse has plenty of pedigree on the dam side to be competitive in here. We'll see what happens. But Liberty's Advance, I agree with you, is much the horse to beat. Race number 4, the other division for the fillies and mares, as we take a look at Sunday's Girl. I guess the only question with her, and we'll show her winning the correction, because I thought she ran super last time, is she not great on a wet track? That's my one concern with her. Because otherwise, she can't lose this race. Literally can't lose.
Yeah, there's just when a horse has 6 or 7 races that are better than anything else has run, it's hard for me to get over that. To that drawn outside as well with tactical speed and a world-class rider like Flavian. It's sometimes it becomes very hard for me to figure out or even get creative on how a horse like this gets beat.
Yeah, I mean, normally I don't worry about wet tracks and such, like those things. But when you're dealing with a horse that's going to be a heavy, heavy favorite, I do think it's reasonable to note that the wet track races are worse than her dry track races. And I think it's at least worth thinking about. And the problem is you look at the horse that you and I both have second, Cali Magic. I know she's won, and we'll take a look at her race 2 back. I believe she's second to Big Calhouna. The problem with her is, even though she's run well on wet tracks, it seems like her recent wet track races are not that good. I wonder if she's gotten older. She doesn't like a wet track.
Yeah, and the one thing I like about her, though, is that some of her best races are when she's aggressively ridden. And sometimes on a racetrack like this, that goes a long way. And so I don't know if that'll happen here today, but I'm hopeful.
I'll make you laugh about the horse getting older. You know who actually taught me that, and he's right about it? You couldn't get it in 1,000 questions. Back before Mike Rapoli realized he could get attention by taking shots at me on Twitter, and we were friends, he told me that years ago. We were talking about a horse of his at Saratoga a bunch of years ago, and I said, aren't you worried? Something about the horse has gone off form, and he said, no. I don't think the horse likes a wet track. And I said, the horse has one race in wet tracks. He said, yeah, horses get older, they don't like it. And it was something that stuck with me for years. And it's something he said to me at Saratoga.
What do you think the science is behind that?
I don't know. I'm getting old, and you get older, you get cranky about things, right? You don't you don't really care about it when you're young, when you're a kid, right? You don't mind playing in the rain. As you get older, you don't want to leave your house when it rains out. So, white horses so much differently. But actually, it was Mike that told me about that. And by the way, the horse he was talking about actually won and paid $15, so it particularly caught my attention. I'm not trying to beat Sunday Girl either. I just wonder if maybe that could be an Achilles heel. Could Stone Smuggler step forward? I mean, she didn't run that badly last time, but my God, Sunday Girl ran so much better.
Yeah, I mean, it was off a little bit of a break, too. She hadn't run since July. I always like those as opportunities to take another little step forward. In this day and age, layoffs usually aren't that big of a deal.
No.
I think they still can be for certain types.
All right, we'll see what happens in the New York Stallion Series for the fillies and mares. So we don't get to have the entertainment we wanted, because both Nick Tammer and I were wondering, when Jonathan first picked for race 5, he didn't have whammo in the top 4, and that's a cue, Eddie, to go to the 5th race. I know you're a little slow today. Wait, Jonathan, he's still got your old picks up.
He's still got the 7 up there, yeah.
Okay, you want to tell Eddie what your picks are?
It's the 11. It's the same order. It's 11-6-2-5, 11-6-2-5.
11-6-2-5. 7-11. It's a craps thing. You thought you were the crap table.
Yeah.
For people who don't realize about whammo, the horse that ends up finishing second, gets placed first, that was a 3-5 Todd Pletcher, $750,000 first-time starter. And now you get Flavian, 2 consecutive Katie Davis to Flavian switches. That's a pretty big switch.
Yeah, it's a switch.
I don't know, a switch from anybody to Flavian these days isn't a bad switch.
This is one of my favorite types of horses to play, as a horse who got beat, that was hooked in a fast-paced race, and then is drawn outside in a pace where they don't probably have to go that fast. It's one of my favorite, most comforting angles. Not really an angle, but just a scenario. This horse has to get a good, comfortable trip, has to improve off of that last effort, and has to get a little bit of a pace that's going to be easier than they dealt with last time.
Way the horse to beat. David is dreaming if he thinks this horse is going to be 2-1. I realize there are other horses to take money in here. I don't disagree with him. I think it's more competitive, but they're not going to be able to resist the Flavian switch with this horse off of DQ. But as we look at Party in the Army, and I think I'm going to look at the first race this horse ran at Saratoga, This horse is pretty good. I am scared of this horse. You have him third. I thought this horse was a legitimate threat to the favorite.
Yeah, I mean,
If this horse gets Ricardo,
yeah, I mean, there's a rider change here. You're getting blinkers, so you could kind of get you could get a better performance. The horse took money on both starts, the first two starts, and I thought it felt like there was a little bit of a disappointing efforts in those. I mean, this one was okay.
he ran
The
pretty
one at
well in this race.
Finger Lakes, I wish would have ran a little bit better.
I agree, but
broke
Arctic
a little
Beast is
slow.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I'm scared of him more than the horse that we just flip-flopped second and third with Pride of the Union. Though I think Pride of the Union was a little bit against the track last time. I thought maybe you were better off being inside last time. Might have helped the winner.
Yeah,
I just don't like that race.
Pride of the Union is another one who's adding blinkers. This was one we talked about in the last race where I was just hoping the horse would kind of take another step forward. It's not the longest break between August and October, but there is a little bit of a break there, an opportunity to improve second off. Horse took a lot of money last time. I thought ran well. And I also thought would probably creep up in price a little bit more than the two Party in the Army.
I agree with you. I think that the two is going to be a clear-cut second choice. Maybe David's right. He usually is, but I wondered if they would make that horse the clear-cut second choice. And you know, for those of you that were hoping to get to hear why Jonathan liked Max Schnell, it's just not going to happen.
Sorry about that.
It's not, but it'll probably win.
I put him in the winner's circle.
Anyway, that's the first five. The late pick five after a quick break.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
Number six, we both picked hedge ratio. We agree in general on the exacta. Talk about hedge ratio.
Yeah, this feels like one of those kind of typical ones where like the cutback is gonna with Flavian, a good smart ride. You know, keep your position. It's save ground on the turn, produce for one run. I was drawn in by the 8, but I
like
do
the 8
feel
too.
like the 1 is just better than the 8, and I didn't want to fall for that trick.
I also like the race that hedge ratio is coming out of quite a bit. I think Paladin is going to be very tough to beat in the Remsen. I think Paladin could be a real Derby type horse. I think he's a very, very good horse. And listen, Renegade may be good too. I don't want to discount him. He did finish ahead of Paladin despite being justifiably DQ'd, but they both ran very well in there. And I like the cutback because I like the idea that pretty quickly Chad's admitting he kind of got this horse wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, of course. I think that when you have Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers making changes, I always defer to their probably the right change. Whether it's a Todd
He didn't
or a
finish
Braxton.
last time. I mean, he ran well. He got there, and he just didn't finish. Now, he didn't finish against some pretty good horses. But I agree with you on Our Magical Moon. I thought this horse actually ran pretty well last time.
Yeah, and it was one of those situations where the turf race showed some talent to find the front. It wasn't that fast of a pace, but I thought last time the race kind of felt like it fell apart to a certain extent. And
I agree.
anytime you got a horse that's in the mix of a race that falls apart, they're always going to be ones I want out of those spots because it looks a little dirty. It's not as obvious as I think as the horse runs second and loses a nose.
I almost put him on top. I was between those two because, I mean, Dark Assault can obviously win the 10. I just feel like he's had a couple chances, and I prefer others. He's had his chances to get it done. Did you have any interest in Sonic Surge, the horse for Weaver that's going to run? There's a little bit of pedigree in this horse. The first foal, but there's some pedigree in there.
Yeah, when I was looking for the first-time starters, I ended up picking the 7. you know, I had no problem with the 9. I just knew that if I picked the 9 too high, you'd make fun of me because it was George.
Well, shame not to be able to make fun of you. Did you have the 6 in there anywhere? 6 would have to Payala Queen, who won the test. It ruined my replay. I actually brought that test replay up.
I didn't. This is how I call it. This is how it was before the scratch.
And if Richie were here, he could talk about Ovechkin, but you and I don't follow hockey, so. But I think I heard that guy.
Ovechkin, yeah.
Right? Who did he play for?
The Capitals?
I don't know.
I think that's right.
Okay. No, I'm not questioning you.
so.
I wouldn't know. Richie knows.
I'm pretty good at
I don't know hockey.
surface level.
Though
random.
I will. Do you go to hockey games during the year? Because you go to games much more.
I've been to one last year.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Hockey is
The
like.
tickets are just they're too expensive for my level of how much I care. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like they're more money than if I'd pay to go to a Knicks game because I care a little bit more.
I just don't. I just don't. It's too loud for me. I'm getting old. I don't go.
Do you like the old horse that doesn't like the
I like the just well the other thing is you know how many Knick games I've been to? I mean
I
I've
know.
probably been to 400 Knick games in my life, you know, and you know I was there at all those Bulls games against Michael. You know when I worked on the floor, people would give me tickets and good seats, and like I sat courtside for the series. The Knicks took them to 7. The surprise year, I think it was Riley's first year. The game 3 was an afternoon Saturday game. I sat right behind the celebrity row, and Michael Jordan's dad was sitting right behind us, reading my post.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, actually,
pretty
that
awesome.
was pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Michael.
The college games are fun. They're a sneaky
great.
way to feel the. We went to the Duke game and.
Oh, how
and
was that at
it was
West Point?
awesome.
Was
It
that fun?
awesome. Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never been to West Point.
How big is it? There must not be a big arena.
No, it's
right?
I want to say it's like 6,000, 7,000.
Bigger than-
It goes straight up.
bigger
It's
than
insane.
whatchamacallit, Cameron.
Yeah.
Cameron's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on to race number 7, which is off the turf. And you know, I'll tell you something. This race held together very, very well. I
Yep.
mean, this is fine. I mean, I'm not sure I had any clever ideas
Who
here.
are you picking on the grass? Just quickly, I just wanted to.
I was going to pick Trail of Gold.
Okay.
Who
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
taking?
Miss Beethoven.
Yeah. What was your thing with Miss Beethoven?
Just that Chad, they don't miss that much with these horses they buy overseas like this. And I think that she didn't run well, but she took a little bit of money, kind of hit the reset button, and just hoped she was going to come back and run well. A lot of, she'd been trained a
the
lot. Yeah.
key race at La Teste de Bouche. So we'll show the 11 Pocamucha, who is very dangerous in here, and I'll give the rider changes in just a second. This is the off the turf Della Rose in a huge win. If she runs this race, she's going to win here.
Yes.
Just don't trust it to happen again.
That's
Put her on
exactly.
top.
I think that the market is going to completely overreact to this performance.
I agree.
And it could be an outlier that is not an indication.
She's
of
run
how she'll
okay on dirt tracks, but never as well as that
Yeah.
race.
That's only. If she does this again today, I'm not going to be shocked. I just think she's going to be completely overbet off of this performance, and that was why I leaned elsewhere.
I don't disagree. For what it's worth, a couple of rider changes in here. Manny is riding Trail of Gold, and Panejo's riding the 12, a long shot, and Flavian Pratt is riding your pick next on stage. So there goes your price.
Yeah, I wanted to do something different in here, but the one that I felt I trusted the most to run the best race on the dirt was the 13, because they had consistently, on a number of occasions, run a couple of races that could win this race.
The problem, and she's got plenty of race to win, and I don't disagree with you, and she's a huge player, but the problem is that 87 Buyer is like a stick out, like a sore thumb. And that was a fast race. I mean, Ragtime's a legitimate stakes quality horse. She's tailed off a little bit, but she's still very good. The other races make her a major contender. I was interested to see you are on top of the same horse as me, for better or for worse, with Curlin's Girl. I mean, Curlin's Girl's first dirt start, second career start, was a 70 Buyer. And she's running as well then as she was on other surfaces. And I'm kind of interested. I was wondering, I thought if Linda leaves this horse in, I'm going to bet Curlin's Girl. Because she probably saw the dirt races, figures it's worth taking a shot. The horse is doing okay because Linda obviously has no problem scratching. The other thing is she's going to say is, well, why not run in the dirt? The other problem is, though, you run in the slop, the horse doesn't run well, it doesn't answer your question, right?
Yeah.
You still may want to bring the horse back on dirt. But I thought this horse was sneaky in here as well.
Yeah, it was more of a, and I hate the lazy. I think it's very lazy, and in the next couple of years we got to get used to this. Just this idea that just because they ran on the synthetic, they'll run on the dirt, or they run on the synthetic, they'll run on the turf.
You're going to get punished by that when we go to
it doesn't
synthetic. Be
always
careful
happen.
about that. They're not all turf horses or synth horses.
It was just more or less, that because the horses run okay on the synthetic, I don't have to make the assumption that they won't stand up on the dirt.
Yeah, I mean, my general feeling also is, like, when we go to synthetic, because we're going to be there next winter, I'm going to take a little bit of a wait-and-see approach if they don't have synthetic form to see how they go and tread a little bit lightly. But I think also, if you have an idea on the horse, and I do want to get a little bit aware of pedigrees for synthetics and such, is if you like horses at prices, don't get that concerned about, you know, the surface in that situation. But I agree with what you're saying. I think there's going to be an assumption that turf horses are automatically synthetic horses, and they're not. It's a third surface.
Yep.
And I'm looking for the challenge. And I'm not a synthetic fan, but it is a challenge I'm going to have to face whether I like it or not. But also, I don't mind. I'm up for the challenge, you know. But the reality is, for people that are complaining in general, winter racing's been so great around here. I mean,
yes,
the fields are bigger. I'm ready to take a shot. It's not like I've been doing any good in the winter over the years. So,
no, look,
I'll be complaining to you about it off camera, but you know, Trail of Gold doesn't even seem impossible. The problem with Trail of Gold in here is she's going to be bet off turf form. And I think she could have improved off her dirt form, but she's going to be bet off turf form. That's why I didn't really want her. But there's a lot of horses that have handled it. I mean, Bobby's M-Girl has run okay on it, so I didn't think she was impossible. See what happens in race number 7 off the turf. I had more ideas here than race number 10, which is just pretty much a guess fest because there's really no form to go on whatsoever. Race number 8, I'm not going to be surprised when your top choice, so I have third, Coffee Talk wins, and we'll take a look at the last race. But I am sorry. I am not taking a heavy favorite that ran okay for Brad Cox and then exploded for David Jacobson with a 94 buyer and trust this horse to run back to this race. I am not going there.
I get that.
Obviously, he can win. I'm not being an idiot.
The problem with that, for my brain, how I look at starter allowance races, is I look for which one of these horses is not the same horse than when they qualified for this condition.
Okay.
And that's the 9. And I completely understand where you're coming from.
Where the hell did that race come from? I mean, come on.
I completely agree with where you're coming from. But the other thing too is that, like, you know, if Linda gives me a little bit more comfort. I feel like she can keep a horse good in a situation like this more than others.
Claimed off of David Jacobson on the dirt. 14 for 118, 12%, $1.14 ROI. Off of wins, 4 for 26, $1.23 ROI. I don't disagree. I mean, as we look at Linda's other horse, Ranger Battalion, I look at David's morning line, and once again, David's line is a lot better than any line I could ever make. And I'm not saying he's wrong. And I'm sure he struggled with this one as well. Is Ranger Battalion going to be close in odds? Maybe he is going to be. At least with Ranger Battalion, I think he's a little more reliable, right? He's got consistent form in New York for Linda.
Yeah, but I think the problem is I worry just about. I'd like a little bit of a better price on Ranger Battalion if I was going to take that leap. I just.
Well, if you eliminate the last big figure by the 9, I'm not saying you can just completely dismiss it. This is clearly the horse to beat, right? Unless you think Timaeus is going to somehow find that race from 2 back that you and I don't believe.
Yeah, I mean, I like Derek's Law. I thought Derek's Law, ran well last time. I hate the trainer change, but I'm going to get paid for the trainer change.
I don't mind this trainer, and he's got some wins. I don't 100%. Like trainer claim from Linda.
That's what I'm. Yes, thank you for clearing that up for me. But at this price, I'm fine. At 8-1, I'll roll the dice on that, and I think I'll get the 8-1 too, because I think Ranger Battalion's going to take money. The horse you picked on top's going to take the money. Coffee Talk obviously is going to take money. So.
I think Remy's Moon will take money. I'm like you. I'm not a Remy's Moon fan in this race. I just didn't really. Another horse claimed away from David Jacobson that I don't really want. As far as Sir Cartwright, I don't know. I thought he ran okay. The rail was good last time. He was off the rail. He's got fast races, as it turns out, and I picked this horse long before it rained. He's got a muddy track race. I thought he was a horse that was a little sneaky here that might just be getting back to better form for Jeremiah, and he'd be a square price.
And he ran his best lifetime race, like a lot of these have, but you don't have to deal with the question of will they repeat it because it stays in the same barn.
And Timaeus, Acacia just told me Timaeus is scratched, so this is not official, but I believe that's scratched. I can look at my emails, and we will do that. Give me 1 second.
I didn't see it either, but maybe.
No, it probably just came in as an email. I'm going to take a look. Timaeus is scratched. Yes, number 4, Timaeus is scratched. There are no other new
Look at Acacia,
additional scratches.
always
Thank you,
working.
Acacia. Okay. Anyway, race number 9. How are we doing for time? We're doing fine. I'll tell you, race number 9 is a fun race, and we'll start with Knightsbridge. I ended up going to Knightsbridge, even though he's a heavy favorite, because he looks like the controlling speed, and I know he disappointed when he came back. But how much did he disappoint? I mean, I thought he ran very well in the Perryville. Dead heat with Bookham Dano, who should have won and didn't get the best of rides that day, but still, it's Bookham Dano. And then, okay, something obviously went wrong last time, but he's still running fast races, and I think is the speed. I don't want to play against him.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it. Like, he came back and he disappointed, but I don't like when horses disappoint and there's no excuse. Clearly,
Something went
wrong. The horse hasn't been seen since February. Comes back with blinkers, has speed. I have no problem. I almost did, but I ended up just picking the 9 just because I thought there'd be a little bit more value.
But my problem with the 9, and we'll take a look at his race, because he really ran last time. I know that race kind of fell apart at the end, but this was a very, very impressive win for him. My problem with him is I just feel like he's a last time was the time horse, and the 2 has so much more tactical speed than he does. He just doesn't have any speed.
Yeah.
That's what worries me.
It's strictly a price situation. If Knightsbridge wasn't in here, I think BU would be a horrible bet.
He'd be
because he'd be so
4
short,
to 5 and
and
short.
There's
Yep.
no, and he's pace
That's fair.
dependent. At least I'm going to have a good horse to chase in Knightsbridge, and I'm going to be the second choice. So that was the only look. In a multi-race situation, I'm not trying to beat the 2 by any means.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And this horse ran very well last time. I mean, this horse really, really ran. If you watch the whole replay, I mean, he was way back. I mean, what about Eliminate? I thought Eliminate was his last race for Joe Sharp was very good. I thought he ran extremely well in there. I needed Dr. Graff for second, was extremely lucky to beat him for second. I thought he might be improving for Joe. I was going to throw him in.
I had no problem. I was going to use him third. I just kind of I fell in love with this little cute idea of using the 1, crushed it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look, I thought the horse ran really well last time for Linda. I think Fernando Abreu does an outstanding job. I think,
I'm chairman of his fan club, so I'm with you.
I thought the change was a change that others might view as...
She's just tough to claim
Yeah,
from.
exactly. And I just felt like I'm going to get all of this 20-1, and why can't this horse run second or third?
The horse that's weirded here is the horse I have 4th, 24 Mamba, because he's got races that can win this race. But his last 2 races have been absolutely horrendous. I mean, maybe something went wrong in those races, but I'm just worried he just can't run anymore. He's got races, though, that make him a chance, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I like when horses have races for different trainers. He's got a race for Tom Morley. He's got a race for the Cantor Mossies. He's got a race for Michelle Giangulio and for Charlie Baker. They can put him in the mix. I like it when they can bring their race with them to different
And he's a
horses.
10-strike horse. And Marshall spoke at the hearing yesterday. I heard he was very, very good.
I'm sure he was. I wouldn't be sure.
No,
I would have won that wager.
Yeah. I don't know who was taking the other side, but good luck with that. Race number 10. My general feeling in race number 10, and I've got the horse second, you have him on top, is I just don't want to take Unmistaken because he's going to get bet because of a turf race. And I know he's got enough pedigree to handle the dirt, and he's probably going to win here. But isn't he going to be very short, and you just don't know if he can handle the surface?
So, though I wanted to not use this horse. I was going to pick the horse on the grass too. The one thing that allowed me to keep him here was her here, excuse me, is her speed. Yeah.
Of course.
So she'll be forward. She won't have to deal with a lot of kickback. She's got experience. That goes a long way, I think, in situations like this. It just felt like one of those situations where I would try to beat her and then she wins by 3.
I think speed horses in these situations are often more reliable because they're forward and they don't get caught in the kickback. And I'm not big on the kickback, but I think it is one of the reasons that you'll find turf horses don't do as well. They get caught taking kickback they're not used to. At least if you're forward, it's not a problem. I'm dying to ask Jimmy Ferraro about the War Dancer. He made an MTO who you've picked second.
Yeah, well, the dam won 3 times on the dirt.
Yeah. It's just funny.
I love horses like this in these situations. One thing about MTOs that I like is not that they're MTOs. It's that they're always drawn outside.
Yeah.
And I love that in these types of races when you have horses that are meant for the grass or have been running on the grass. When you get a horse that's in the clear, not going to get stopped, be able to just run around there, sometimes I think that works itself out a lot.
I think that MTO should be in the field. I like what we did for a while in their tracks, Drew. I think an MTO should not get that advantage. You know, like when races at Saratoga get rained off and go to 7 furlongs, why should the MTO get the advantage of getting the coveted outside post?
Completely
you know, I agree with what you're saying, but and we experimented for a while. I don't know why we went back. I like them being in the field, but I'm sure there's a reason we changed. Rocksteady Babe. This is more of a dirt pedigree. There's some turf in there, but there's more dirt there. So I went with my man Charlie Baker and just guessed maybe this horse will be okay in the dirt. But then again, Charlie entered on the turf. On the other hand, it's not like there wasn't some rain in the forecast, so maybe Charlie didn't mind taking a shot. So I'm just going to guess with Rocksteady Babe. It's a total out-and-out guess. But there is more dirt pedigree in this than the others in the race in general.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't the 9, or the MTO,
it's very hard to have opinions. I had like Copper Caduceus on the turf. But I'm not, as much as I like War Dance in the turf, I'm a little skeptical in the dirt. All right, Jonathan, it was a pleasure. Jonathan will be on early. I will be on late. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member, no better time than the present. Use the promo code BONUS200, and we will match $200 of your initial deposit. We have a $5,000 hit and split. Opt in for this. You're playing a late pick 5 here. If you're betting Gulfstream and Churchill, 75 or more, opt in for this one. You'll get a free $15. Come on, Eddie. Get rolling here. I don't know, Eddie, you're not in your game today. I don't know what it is. He's being very quiet, too. He's not speaking to me. And there he is. 10% win bonus, exacta bonus at Del Mar. We're glad they're back in racing today. And last but not least, 11:30 to 4:30 on FS2, all the action here, and Tampa as well. Jonathan, thank you again. Thank you for watching. Chris Griffin's up next. Reprise, scratch and changes. Have a great day.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet.